moments just to introduce myself. My name is Molly Willoughby. I grew up in Vermont. I still go back there every year. My family is there. I have my master's in elementary education from Lesley University, which is in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I used to joke it's right next to Harvard, so I'd walk through Harvard Yard to get to school. I have taught first, second, third kindergarten. And the majority of my teaching was in Boston. I shouldn't say that now, because I've lived here 16 years. And I taught first grade in McKinney. I took some time off with my daughter, who is now 13 and in 7th grade. And she went to school here. That's how I knew about Jen. And I started to I started in as their music and Spanish teacher. And then the kindergarten spot came available, and I was lucky enough to get it. And I've been teaching kindergarten here for 5 or 6 years now. Six. It might even be 7, because this is my 9th year. So yeah, this is my 7th year teaching kindergarten. I guess I'll start with just looking at what makes our program maybe something you're interested in, because you do have the option if your child's 5 by September 1st to go to a public school. But here, what would make it maybe a distinctive to come is we are biblically based, so they do still get the Bible time and talking about God and all the rules of that, and not just we do it during Bible time. We kind of integrate it through all of our subject areas. For instance, when we talk about the water cycle, we say, isn't it amazing that God put all the water on earth, and then there's a system where the, evaporates, it condensates in the clouds and comes back down, and, that's just one example of how we would integrate that. Another plus to a distinctive, it is a 4-day program. It's Monday through Thursday, so if you think your child that 5 days just might be just a little too much, I'm going to say you're the experts of your child. You know where they are comfortable with, what works well, but it's a great transition if they're not ready for that every single day. It's also a little bit shorter a day. It's 9 to 1:45, and sometimes that's helpful as well. We do not do any nap time in kindergarten, so if you were thinking that's not where we hit it going in the morning and we go strong until the end of the day. If you are a person that was like, oh, but I wanted them to go 5 days, we do have a Friday enrichment program that is also in our it's on Fridays, and they use the kindergarten room, and they do all sorts of different activities. It's usually theme-based, and when we take a tour over there, you're going to be able to smell the donuts, because they made donuts today. They were doing some baking. So that is an option. Don't feel like, oh, wait, I wanted 5 days, because you can add on the Friday enrichment day. And Mrs. Jones has been the teacher there for, I would say, the last 5, maybe more years, and she's fantastic. We do follow the TDA, we make sure we're hitting all the objectives and all the TEKS and everything that they want done. It's happening here. This is a fully run kindergarten program. Now, some of you might be here going, well, I think I want to do this as maybe treat it as a transitional kindergarten, which absolutely you may do that. But just know that they are getting the full kindergarten curriculum, and that can be actually beneficial if they're not. I'm going to tell you, learning is always fluid. From kindergarten till about 3rd grade, it's, oh, there's this, oh, wait, they're here, oh, this makes, so they're going to go back and forth. So if you know your child, may I think they're a little young, I'd like a transitional kindergarten, this is probably, I would say it's a great tool to come, and they will receive the whole kindergarten curriculum. Typically what I ask up front is, do you know, are you thinking of, you're going to 1st grade next year, or you know for sure you'll do kindergarten? And some parents are like, well, I want to wait and see. And again, it's all that fluidity, like how are they learning, where they're going. Honestly, I would say half my class would go on to 1st grade, they're ready and their parents, that's the plan, and they're doing fine. Half would probably say, well, I'm gonna keep them back because they were a July birthday, or I just see maturity-wise, they're not ready, but this has been good because they've got all the learning in, and we're still active, and we do a lot of play, I would say learning play, but we're moving and doing a little bit more than I would say at a public school nowadays. That kind of breaks my heart a little bit because I think kids learn actively through play and through movement, and I think the pressure, not from, because I think our local teachers are awesome. They do a great job, but I think coming down from the state, they just expect more and more and more. The curriculum we do use here at GEM is Starfall, so I'm going to leave the whole packet up here. This is our literacy program. It's the Starfall program. And for math, we also use Starfall. Saying that, I integrate a lot more different things. Yes, I don't want you to say, oh, all they're doing is these paperwork. That's part of it. We do, a lesson, a group lesson. We will do table work or paperwork. We go to literacy stations and math stations where we're hands-on. They're working in small groups. They're working with each other, kind of like, how does that work? And kind of problem solving together. We'll do I do guided reading groups, so at that point they're probably with their peers that are on their level, but I can do our reading curtailed right specific to where, pinpointing the skill I want them to be developing and learning. And again, as it's fluid, those groups do change. I keep my math groups very different because I feel like somebody who might be strong with somebody who's weak, they start to learn and see it a different way. We do also have interest centers, and that's a free choice time. But they're pretty much guided towards things that are going on in the classroom, but just put in a play kind of setting where they're like practicing what we're doing, but to them they're like, we love interest centers because we're doing, it's play to them, which is how they should learn, and it's awesome. Trying to think, here. The ending, this page right here is for the ending objectives. I don't want anyone to feel worried, like they kind of know this. This is my ending results. We're looking for solid number recognition and writing, and more importantly than that, I look for the number sense. Are they able to manipulate numbers? Can they break them apart? Can they put them together? Can they visualize what a number line looks like? We talk about probability. We kind of go deep at their level, and they do a really great job with it. Also for reading, I look to see that everyone gets to that emergent stage. Some of your kids may already be at that emergent stage, which is why we do those guided reading groups, because then I'll be the next one up. I'll start the next skill and where we're going with that. Coming into kindergarten, I'm going to tell you, if your child is 5 by September 1st, no matter where they go, they're allowed to go to kindergarten. So there is a suggestion of what we're looking for, but by no means don't feel, my child can't make a puzzle, and I'm going to see what this that is. Kindergarten assessment checklist. Yes, it's the kindergarten assessment checklist. I'll give it. We're looking to see, can they put a puzzle together? Now, I don't want anybody to panic and say, my kid cannot do a 12-piece puzzle. I'm here to tell you, my daughter could not do that in kindergarten, and we still work. That's her weakness is spatial sense. So they just might not, that's working and developing that spatial sense. Looking to hold scissors correctly. If they don't, or they still accidentally make a mistake, that is normal. We do a lot of self-correcting here in kindergarten with all those fine motor skills. I will say I do try to really train them to do that pencil grasp. So if you see over the summer that they're still like grabbing like this or holding it, we call it the pincher fingers. And your pinky and your ring finger go to sleep. They don't have a rule. They don't have a role in writing. We always are doing gross motor skills. We have every day recess time where it's unstructured. They get to run, play, and do whatever. We have a gorgeous playground, and we just got new turf, so that is exciting. We also have a PE coach here, Mrs. South, so they go to PE. We also have Mr. Doug. He is our science person, so they will get science every day. Looking at their social skills, basically I'm looking that they can speak for themselves. If there's a problem, they can say, Mrs. Willoughby, I hurt myself, or Mrs. Willoughby, I don't understand her, I'm feeling sad, so that they can communicate. That's the thing I'm looking for. You're going to see follow simple multi-step directions. That is something I see happens in kindergarten. They start to learn how to do 2- and 3-step things. So if you're like, oh, I can send my child to their room, but when they get there they forget, oh, I'm supposed to clean up. That's a developmental thing, and we work with that. That's not anything that you shouldn't say, oh, they can't come to kindergarten. Let's my other checklist. Academic, basically we're looking that they can recognize shapes, know their letters. It may not be consistent, and that's okay. That's sort of what kindergarten is for, is to really, we own all the letters, uppercase, lowercase. We're going to learn those sounds. So don't panic reading that saying, oh, they don't know all their letters. That's, again, that fluid. It's very normal, very developmental. Personal information so that they can say their name, their mom's and dad's name, and know how old they are. I don't ask how their address. I just feel like that's a safety thing nowadays, so I steer clear of that. I will say that we do look at each child individually here at Jim. We're here to support that child the best they can, and I do a little lesson in the beginning of the year of what it means to be fair. And fair doesn't mean everybody gets the same thing. And I show them a picture of like kids looking over a fence. Well, the kid who's really tall can see everything. The one who's short can't see anything. And the medium one is like tippy-toed but can see. And then the next picture is they're all on crates. But now everybody has one crate, but a couple of kids now the short kids still can't see, but the other kid who is on his tippy-toes can, and then there's one more that's on the tippy-toe, and the one that's tall is even taller. And then we show it a different way where the tall student isn't standing on anything, and the smaller, shorter child has more so he can see. And we talk about this is what it means to be fair. We have what we need to succeed. And I will say that, we have, I have weighted lap blankets, and you got a wiggler, and they're still kids, so I don't label anybody because I'm just starting to, I can see what they're doing, but we'll give them a weighted blanket. Sometimes I might give them a fidget tool, and not everybody gets it. You get it if you need it. And then I'm trying to train them to say, or not train them, but have them realize themselves, I'll say, are you better on a rug, or do you think you might be better on a chair? I think I might be better on a chair today. Then, hey, use a chair. Not a problem. That's what you need. And then we can all continue on focusing on what we're doing. I was trying, not rushing, but I'm going to take us over to our classroom because I know the Friday enrichment class is at recess right now. So I thought I'd tour the room with you quickly, and then we'll come back here for questions and answers. It's big, and we got places to spread out, so I'm so thankful for that. I know what I forgot to tell you. My philosophy for classroom management, it starts with conscious discipline. And we use Schubert in all the books. And we read 7 books slowly. And we learn to use our big voice. because our words have power. We look to see the best in everybody, and we want to be helpful. We're going to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Mrs. Willoughby makes mistakes. But we can always turn back time and try a new line. Sometimes we just need to stop. We stop, take a breath, and relax. If part of our brain is all worked up, no matter what I say, isn't going to work. So we try to calm ourselves and get ourselves back into, oh, I feel safe. Okay, this is what's going to happen next. We're helpful and we care for each other. Always try to make helpful choices here. And we really work on what you're feeling. Identify that feeling. Because a lot of kids will be like, I'm angry. I'm like, I know, you can tell you're really angry. You threw that pencil down, you stamped your foot. Let's see what happened. And as they talk and do the dialogue, you'll hear, oh, well, so-and-so took my pencil. I didn't like it. Oh. Okay, so how did that made you feel what? Mad and upset and maybe frustrated because you tried saying, you turned back the line. You said, hey, give that back, that's mine. So we just kind of worked through that. On top of going on with our classroom management, this area right here is a calming corner. And it's a place for any child to go before they get too upset. This is a place they can go, take a breath, relax, figure it out, and it's got a little couch, the little bean bag. This right here, the blue table, is my think it over table. And I really try to avoid telling parents it's not a bad place. This is a place, sometimes I might say, you need to go to the think it over table. And usually there's books on there and there's social stories. So if you're touching somebody on the road, or you're shouting out, or you hit somebody, and that, knock on wood, that doesn't really quite happen, we go to the think it over table. And they might have to read the social storybook, and it's all pictures, usually either myself or an assistant. Right now I have Mrs. Goodrow, she's the best. She will, we'll go over with it and talk about it. If it's a consistent thing, or if I think it's this needs to go home, we fill out a sheet, and you can look at this after, or I'll bring it out with us. This basically says, today I went to the think it over table, and I read a book called You Can Help at Home by, and I usually say, maybe it's reminding them in the morning 3 times, maybe it's check this book out, or maybe they just need some TLC time. We can kind of figure that out, and we just ask that you sign it so that you know. Here at GEM, I think there's a daily check-in how your child has done. I don't do that in kindergarten. I try to have them own their own, and they're usually pretty honest to say, I went to the think it over table. Again, it's not a bad thing, and if they don't come home with this, and I kind of think it was just enough to reset them. This is our morning meeting wall. We start with calendar, we discuss the weather, we take tally marks and collect data all year. Not all year, all month. And then this was December's graph, and then I'll do January's, and we'll compare, and we'll read the graph. We talk about our number of the day, so on Monday it will be 60. We build the numbers with 1s and 10s. We talk about place value. We then correlate it to the money. So we start working with money, and I'm pretty impressed by the end of the year. They can make tons of coin combinations. I give them that as a job. And we're working on building our own hundreds chart along with our hundreds chart over there. We cover tally marks. We keep track of those. We do our counting by 10s and 10 frames. And in January, we start telling time on the analog clock. This is our verse. We have a verse every month. Part of the start of our classroom management is we live by the fruit of the Spirit in here. We try to do everything with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness and self-control. This is an estimation jar. We do a poem. That's for our literacy. Every month they get a new poem. birthday graph. We keep track of all of our verses throughout the year. Everybody has a job. It rotates weekly. This is their artwork. We did Kandinsky circles, and we do some shared writing where we were talking about maths and the purposes of maths. So they were able to, I started, and then they came in and helped me finish. And then I asked them they each had to make an illustration of the map of our classroom. These are the cubbies they would be using. And last but not least is our stations. And it's a little bit behind this chair right here. I mentioned before we'll do a whole class lesson, we'll do some seat work, and then when they're done, they're going to go to their literacy station, so they'll find their name, then they'll find their stars right here. They'll find the star. Oh, I'm at station 1. They'll go and get the station 1 bucket, go to the star that's station 1, and start working. And then these groups, and that's as they finish. And we do the same thing for math. I'll do a warm-up activity, we'll do the lesson, we'll practice it, and then I'll have them use the math stations to practice what we've been using or what we've been learning in an exploratory way, but yet in a meaningful way. I think I've covered the room. And when we have interest centers, they're all over. They kind of pick what they want. You know, we go over the explanations and they go. We always have a sensory bid. I forgot to point that out, but that's
what about bathrooms?
Bathrooms, excellent question. We have our own set. They're right here. There's a boy and a girl's bathroom. We do expect them to be able to potty themselves, wipe themselves, I may have to snap here and there and snap, but mostly they do it all independently. They are always monitored. So if I'm teaching and someone goes to the restroom, my assistant, Mrs. Goodrow, will be right there and she watches to make sure, if they are back. So we are lucky to have that right there. And our kitchen is right there. So we do smell when somebody's baking, and it always smells good. I think I covered everything. And there's our typical schedule for Tuesday. We'll do, Bible time in the morning, then we'll have our morning meeting, we have snack, we're going to have literacy stations and then math stations, lunch. Tuesday's a busy day. We go to PE, come back for science, and then we have recess, chapter book, and carpool. On a different day, it kind of looks just like this. We would have literacy stations, and then I give them a break for their interest centers, just so they have that downtime, but still learning. And then after lunch, we'll do our math for that on Mondays and Wednesdays. That's how that works. Just a little bit different. Because Tuesday is our busy day. That's because we have 2 specials. Specials, yes. Science, PE, Spanish, and music are our extra specials. And I do an actual art lesson on Thursdays where we usually talk about an artist. Like that was Kandinsky. Yesterday we did teaching them how to draw penguins, and then they were painting. So I try to give them their choice of free, but then maybe teaching them how to draw using shapes as well. Well, in the past,
she's learning English.
Right, I was just going to say, here's her benefit. Being 4 or 5, she's going to pick it up. I have in the past, not here at GEM, but when I was in Boston, I had lots of ESL students, and sometimes I would use cue cards with them because I had one girl come from Japan who knew no English, and she was 7, and we would do that. I would just keep working on it. I would say kids are so resilient at that age. I wish my brain was as moldable and as making those synapses. I haven't really had any major issues. Anything I would see, if I see something like, speech-wise, I will, I'll reach out to a parent and be like, I'm having a hard time, or I see that, you know, your child's having a hard time communicating, and I'm not a speech pathologist, I will say that, but I think I've taught long enough, and I would say, what do you think? I don't know, check with your pediatrician, and half the time, the parents are like, yes, we're in the process of that. I was like, okay. So I'm direct, but I mean, I will tell you if I'm like, oh, I think there's a problem, or I think I need more help. And I'm pretty proactive about finding a solution to make it all work. I guess that's sort of my style.
And I know someone else asked this, how many do you normally have?
Okay. We can have up to 24 students. If we have up to 24 students, there will be 2 full-time teachers and a assistant. I think they start that up at 20, but ultimately you can have up to 24 for licensing. This year I have 13. Last year I had 16.
60?
16.
Oh.
I'm good, I'm not that good. No, 16. I would say it ranges between probably 12 to 17. That seems to be the zone. I do have a full-time assistant, and I'm thinking it will still be Mrs. Goodrow, and I don't know if some of you know Mrs. Goodrow. I actually co-taught when we had, I think there was 18 students. We co-taught, and she's a teacher. She's a full-fledged teacher, but she just wanted to she's like, I just want to be an assistant, and I kind of lucked out that she paired back up with me, and I think they will do everything to try to keep that team together, and she's phenomenal. Can't say enough good things. I know Mrs. Rashomon knows about her. Okay. So that's what we have. It all depends on enrollment.
And do you all do anything like checking for any type of learning disabilities, like if there were any?
Okay, we do not do that. However, I have sent emails to parents and said, we do have conferences. I meet with everyone at the beginning of the year because I screen them. And then I usually, about 6 weeks in, I send an email out, just letting y'all know how everything's going. And then we have a parent-teacher conference, in fact, this Monday. So you will have that. We do have progress reports that go home twice a year, the mid-year and at the end of the year. I am very proactive about come to me, questions. And I feel like I've been a veteran teacher long enough that when I suspect something, I will say, Mrs. Brown, I am not a diagnostician. I cannot diagnose this, but the things I see look like dyslexia. Or I see something with his or her comprehension, like it's just not clicking. It could be nothing, because again, being 5, it's so fluid. I do know in the public schools, they try not to do any kind of dyslexic testing in the kindergarten, because a lot of that reversals and all that is normal. But I have some kids that for sure are, they're going to first grade, and I tell the parents right off, I would push for this. You can do it through your town, you can do it independently. I don't know the insurance costs, but I'm pretty upfront. And again, I'm stating here right now, I am not a diagnostician, not a speech pathologist, but I think I've taught long enough to be like, those seem like things that are flagging, and I will tell parents directly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How many sit at a table together? I mean, I know it varies, obviously.
It does. This year it probably looks different because I had Sawyer, Mrs. Rashomond's older son. And that's when we were team teaching. So there was definitely like 2 sides, because you probably didn't. I did point it out, but where the Schubert, all those little classroom cognitive disciplines, that wall pulls out to make 2 separate rooms. So right now I have 4 at a table.
Okay.
So it's set up for like 16.
Mm-hmm.
If we get more, I would probably be inventive, and we have other tables that I would come in and I would do no more than 4 at a table. 4 to 3.
So my son is a summer birthday, and I'm not sure if he'll be ready for 5 days a week at regular kindergarten. so I'm planning to do this program.
Okay.
Is there any negative doing kindergarten a second time for the kids?
Absolutely not. And I think I spoke to, well, 1, 2, 3 moms now. There is not a negative. I think mostly it's you knowing your child, and I can certainly tell kids who are born in the summer versus those who are born in November. If, not saying boys anyway, but if it's a boy, a lot of parents are worried about that maturity. Boys are just more like, you know, moving, and that's what they're supposed to do, and that's a good thing. And this, I think our program allows for it. I think they might get a little frustrated if they went, if you know you're a wiggler and you're in the public kindergarten, then those teachers, I mean, they're phenomenal. My daughter went through all public, and but they're going to be, sit down, do this, and you, not that that child is anything wrong. You don't want to hear that kid's name, and we work on that. I work on extended sitting time. You know, I'm serious about on the rug, but you know, we also have a lot more. We're moving, we're shaking, we're going to centers, we're going to stations. I do not think it's a negative, and I usually on Monday, tell the parents who are like, well, I wasn't sure. I will be very honest and be like, yes, he should go to first grade. He's going to be so bored that I'm afraid he'll be a discipline issue. And he's not a discipline issue because he's bored because he knows it all. Or I'll be like, you made the right choice. He's grown a lot, but he definitely needs that extra year. You know, he'll need that year. And when he goes in, here's another plus. If you're using it, it is a traditional kindergarten, I do want to say that, but if you use it as the TK, they're getting the full kindergarten curriculum. So and maybe they pick up most of it or half of it, but when they hear it again, they'll be like, oh, I do remember that. Or they'll go in more confident and strong in what in knowing all their letter sounds and letters. Did that answer your question? Okay.
You know, I think my daughter is a little confused because I told her you're going to private kinder and then big kinder
Right.
school.
That's a perfect way to say
I'm trying to
it.
think of a good way to say it.
I like that way.
Yeah.
You're going to private kinder and then big kinder.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, I mean,
But I think
I know it's always a little conflicting.
I know
like-
it is during kindergarten.
And I would say, and again, I don't want anyone here thinking or watching the video, wait, I want my kid to go to first grade. This is a kindergarten curriculum. They will be prepared to go to first grade. And I'm a big proponent of always communicating. I think that's, as long as we're all open and communicating, it works well. I'll take your question after, okay, Henry? That, I will listen to that after. I don't think I missed anything, but I am going to say, if you go through, because I know you're probably hearing all this, you're probably emotionally, what do I do, or where am I going? Some of you are, I know what I'm doing. I am always here. My email address is in this first page, it's right there, I think it's in here a couple times. Mrs. Abbott is our director. You can call her anytime. You're more, I don't think we can do tours. Can't do tours, but you saw the room. In the past, we could have parents come in and kind of peek for a little bit while it was good. Yes, it's molly@willoughby.net. I got to wrap up because we're getting ready for carpool. Any other last question? You know what? I'm going to take you, Henry, when we're all done. We're going to just move everything. You can still look at this. I'll bring you into my classroom if you wanted to look at any of these.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.